So what changes in behavior? What do you need to learn to recognize? And the first is the input. So what are you doing that's creating the need for the detoxification? A lot of people look at detox. Let's use a different color here. A lot of people look at detox and they use this bucket analogy. So, if you think about toxins, I'm not a great artist, so forgive my great or lack of great artistry. But if this is the bucket, right, the toxic load, then everything that comes in the bucket, serves to fill it up. Now, it's really more like a funnel, and maybe a bucket analogy isn't the greatest analogy. And when I say a funnel, meaning we always have toxins coming into our life, even if we live a pristine, clean diet, clean food, clean, good exercise, good sleep, good behavioral habits, good friends, no psychological nightmares around us, right? We have still toxic things coming in. And we should have some type of way to get them out, right? And so this is why I say it's less like a bucket, more like a funnel. When a funnel backs up, it overspills. We want to have nice funnel direction coming out of this. What are these arrows representing? So if we really think about what are the funnels that pull the toxins out, one of the big funnels is our liver. And so we can say, okay, the liver is important in detoxification. One of them is the kidney. We can also say that our skin does detoxification. But that's not all. We've got more even than just those. We've got our breath, breathing. We get rid of toxins through the lungs. We also have our bowels, right? Our poop, if you will. So bowels help us to detoxify. Those are probably some of the main areas where we do the vast majority of our detoxification. So where people run into trouble is if these systems are slowed down. And that's a lot of times if you buy these detox kits that support you with supplements, these are designed to support these basic functions: breathing, lung function, liver function, kidney function, skin integrity and function, and bowel integrity and function. So, for example, a lot of people use milk thistle, right, for liver detoxification. A lot of people will use aloe vera for coating the bowels, or zinc carnosine for helping heal the bowels, or they'll use high doses of vitamin C to flush the bowel out, right? And that can help to minimize the toxic load. Again, just doing this without changing the input, and that's what we want. What is the input, right? The input that we predominantly see are people's diets. We see environmental pollutants, and that could be air, water, etc. We see, let me get this out of the way. We see sometimes people's input for toxins is psychological, right? Meaning they're in bad relationships, they hate their job, they hate their boss, or they hang out with people who are what we call negative Nellies or bring them down, right? They have basically psychological pollution. For some people, the pollutants, aside from air and water, there's things like EMF that can come in to the equation. There are things like heavy metals in our environment that we're exposed to, pesticides, which, I would say largely people get exposure through pesticides through their diet, or if you live in an area where pesticide sprayers are being used aggressively near a farming community, for example. So it's identifying the input. If we identify the input first, then we come back over here and we say, okay, we're going to change our behaviors to minimize the input. That's the step one. This is the critical step one, not to take a bunch of stuff to do this. Because a lot of times what happens when people are overwhelmed here and they start a process here, what they actually do is end up feeling worse, much, much worse, as a result of just taking a bunch of pills without changing their behavior, because the pills are not designed to work by themselves. They're designed to work in conjunction with real meaningful change. So again, our major excretion routes: breathing, liver function, kidneys filtrating, our urine, the skin, and the bowels. So let's talk about, aside from minimizing the input, again, so changing your diet, no grain, no pain, filtering your air, filtering your water, minimizing any exposure that you might get to environmental chemicals or chemicals in the food, or the fruit, if you will, the frankenfood. Evaluating your relationships. It surprises me how many people come to me in my practice, and a big part of their problem is in a relationship that they have. They have a psychological toxin that they're trying to cope or deal with. And so this is very, very important. We'll see people with EMF issues or that are crashing because they're overexposed, because there's just too much going on altogether in this overburdened toxicity. So again, we can alter this. We can identify problems here. One of the things I like to use, at least in my office, is we like to analyze the diet. What is a person allergic to? What is a person eating that they shouldn't be eating, even if it's a healthy food? What is a person exposing themselves to? What are their dietary patterns and habits? Are they sleeping properly? Because that's another thing. Lack of sleep would be considered a toxic load, right? Because we need sleep to heal. Lack of exercise, would be considered toxic for a number of different reasons. So if we look at other things, I should say lack of, right? Lack of exercise. If we look at other things or lack of sleep, again, this builds the burden here, and we want to have those behaviors really, really dialed in. Hey, and if you missed the earlier part of this series, click right here so you can go back and get caught up. The information there might be critical to helping you on your path to better health. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe for updates below. Have a great day.